Welcome back to My Brand Story. This week, very exciting week. I mentioned last week that I might have a guest, and I do. What I was talking about last week was about knowing your strengths and your weaknesses as a business and yourself and when to outsource. So I thought, perfect way to talk about my experience. But first, I'll introduce my very special guest and content writer, Emily Ma. Hi, welcome.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
It's so nice to have you here so we can... It's actually my first time that I've had anyone in, so it's taken us a long time to set this set up. A little bit different from normal.
We got it there in the end.
We did. Microphone had an issue, but we're all there, and hopefully you're recording. But it was really nice to be able to speak to someone and also, talk about my experience and then your experience of getting here. So a little bit, as I said before, what I wanted to talk about was how, when I was doing my own project and my website, I just sort of started the project, got the guns rolling, and I'm like, okay, well, I know that I cannot build a website. I cannot do my videography for my videos. I can't do all these things. So obvious choice, get people to do it. But in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, well, ticking the boxes, but what can I, because we're all being in businesses and our budgets are tiny and we're thinking, oh gosh, what can I do myself to save money and time? And you know what, I can just do it, this thing. So I then thought content. Yeah, I need, this website, My Brand Story, is from me, and it's about what I'm about. So I'm thinking, I can write this. I've got this. Knowing very well that writing is not a strength of mine, but I just did it. And I got to the end, and I'd done everything. The website was ready, and my to-do list, top of the list, was still content. And I'd written it all, but it just didn't. I wanted to sound me, but it just didn't read well. And my biggest fear, and I'm sure we've all got it, but is that fear of people pulling you up on these things. Like, well, okay, well, she might mean this, but she looks unprofessional and doesn't look good. And that's been my biggest fear. And I think we could probably say all our fears when we go out.
Or having our message misconstrued. The way that you have articulated it maybe didn't represent what you were actually trying to get across, and therefore you're missing this potential. And with words, I think you probably see my videos, I take a while to get to that point. So with words, you don't have that luxury. You need to get to the point and you need to get cut through really directly, because people there's not a lot else to look at. They're just looking at the words and they need to be spoken to quickly. So then that came about. So I thought, oh God, I realised that the timeline was held up because of me, because I hadn't done it, and I just didn't know what to do. And then I was introduced to you and all your work, and it was just like, honestly, it was like, wow, it was perfect timing. As it always is.
Yeah. And I think that what I wanted though, is I wanted it to be from me, and that was so important. So that's where we're at. But before we get into why and how we worked it out, I'd like to introduce a bit more about Emily and, where she's from. Speech pathologist by business, by trade. In terms of formal qualifications and everything. So that's where I started. And you have fellow entrepreneur, so she runs her own business as well. But like all of us has so many passions and fingers in so many pies and, like an active mind, so many things to keep you going and fill your cup, as I've said in my last blog. So also, as well as that, you write, you love to travel.
Yes.
And so you do a little bit of writing for, what was the company?
Urban Adventures. Yeah. It was sort of they're affiliated with Intrepid, but one of their smaller arms. Yeah, and you love that? I love that. It's so much fun. And how great, because you found this perfect, your skill, and something you love, like travel. That must be awesome to be able to do that. It is. I think we'll talk a little bit more about how I'm making it all work, but I'm very much someone in both my professional life and personal life, doing something every day that brings you joy and brings you passion, and that's when you light up and you do your best work. So I couldn't ignore how much joy that was bringing me. So I wasn't going to say, well, that's not the path I chose. I just kind of made it an extra arm of my
added on, my skill, but I can also do this, which I love. Yeah, which I think it comes with age as well. You come out of uni or wherever you school or wherever you come, you're like, I've got to get this job, I've got to get this qualification, I've got to do this. Yeah. And then you get to I found mid-20s, late 20s, maybe 27, I was like, but I don't love it, and it's not making me happy. Yeah. So you do start looking at what you're good at and then what can actually make you happy. Yeah. And then also you, on top of that, you write content for businesses. So for It's Kind Beauty, as well as graphic designers and myself. And what I love about your work, and we could talk about that after, is what I love is that you really understood me. Yeah. And when I read it, I felt like, wow, I read amazingly.
Yeah.
And amazing. And
it's a word.
It's a word. I'll just go with it. And I think that was awesome.
Yeah.
From a client perspective.
Yeah.
So let's actually first we're having a tea.
Gosh. I've actually been hanging out for this tea with all the drama on the mic.
Technical issues. Chai, smell it. So
good.
Prana Chai, I've got to give them. I did a post, like an Instagram post. These guys are awesome. They're Melbourne, from Australian owned, and it's Prana Chai. It's a beautiful, sticky. It's got honey in it, so it's a really sticky consistency. I have a little oat milk for M.
So excited.
And today I'm just going to go.
I'm going to dive in while you're pouring.
Yeah, go.
Okay, thank you.
It's really, it's like,
it's so good.
fragrant.
Oh my God.
And tasty, right?
It is.
Oh, something on this tea pot.
I look like I was faking that, but I entirely
Oh
wasn't.
my God, it's so
I was that pumped for the tea the whole time. I've been looking at it when we've been setting everything.
Been a while, lady.
It has.
Oh yeah, that's yum.
How good is it?
Wow.
It's really
I
nice.
actually always have it with milk, but I'm having it black. It's good.
There you go. Learn something new every day.
I know. So we're back to talking about how I came to you, and I just touched on it before. You really what you want to do when you have a business is strengths, weaknesses, and knowing what you're good at, but also finding partners that meet you on that level. And we were talking about it before, but it's like not just a professional level, but you also, you're passionate about what they do and you're on board with it. And when I met you and we started talking, I started bouncing ideas. Like, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
You're all for it. And I thought immediately she gets it and she gets me. And I felt confident in her and her work immediately without even seeing it. But then I wanted to give you my work and see how it was. So I guess from your perspective, how does it normally work for you and how do you go? Like, what's your approach?
Well, I think it's sort of similar, like very much someone in life who believes that things come into your path for a reason. And so when we met, it was just crazy that I'd only just started introducing myself as a content writer because it was something that I didn't feel qualified to do. It was just a natural, and I think, like you spoke about on your previous vlog about strengths and weaknesses, those strengths are usually the things that we dismiss as, but that just is too easy. That's not it. They're things that come so instinctively that you don't think of them as a skill set.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas, so that's kind of what writing was for me. So I felt so fraudulent introducing myself as a writer. Yeah. And especially when I started doing content writing, like I didn't study content writing at uni. I can't tick that box. So that, I think someone else, because we had a mutual friend introduce us, had said, Em writes content. I was like, oh, no, don't say that. But then, but then I guess because we did align on that mutual, we're so passionate about women in business and entrepreneurship and doing what lights you up.
And helping each other out.
Yeah, exactly.
As well, which
very
is a big
collaborative.
Thing. Yeah.
So that's, to be honest, how a lot of my things have come to pass. Like, I'm definitely quite a go-getter. Like, I'll sort of seek out those relationships. Probably more so opportunistic. Like, if I meet someone and I resonate with them, I will immediately offer up. Like, I'm so keen to collaborate in all these different ways. Yeah. So that's kind of how it starts. And I like that if it happens from that way really organically, because I knew your voice. So as soon as you sent me your work, even though it wasn't reading on paper how necessarily you talk, because you do talk very differently to how you write, I think that I still knew the message you were getting at and the way that you would normally express it if we were chatting over tea. Yeah. And so that's usually my process with people is there's been a genuine connection first. Yeah. And then I've been able to give them words where they otherwise haven't been able to have them. And I guess that ties in quite nicely with my practice, like my speech pathology clinic, where I work with clients who literally are unable to articulate their thoughts, and they have all these amazing stories and experiences, but it doesn't do them justice because they can't get it out. And I guess that's what my writing does as well, is it gives that voice shape when otherwise you can't find the words. So for so long, like you said, it didn't sort of follow the path of, that I need to study this and get this job. And I freaked out because I was like, I'm writing, I'm meant to be a speech therapist, but it marries. Like it's all about helping people express themselves and giving words and a voice where otherwise people wouldn't be able to express it.
And just back on that, like, it's so true, whether you have issues, developmental issues to be able to speak, and also being able to verbalise how you feel just as a business owner. Because I know that with when I was writing, it's exactly what you said. Yeah. I was not communicating how I wanted to come across. Yeah. And it was frustrating me. Yeah. And I was just hitting my head against a wall. Yeah. So I would just avoid it. Yeah. Because I just wasn't doing it myself justice. And I thought, this is the website is the place that people go to find out about you, and it's the first thing we do now. We Google the website, and I felt like that was what I was like letting me down.
Yeah. And it is like that. I think that even whether I'm content writing for a product or the brand or whatever, I think that it can do a disservice to what you're actually offering if you're not able to express that essence like really authentically, because people can read it right away. Exactly. But people can read it right away. You know, if I wrote content for something that wasn't similar to me or didn't have a similar voice to, I guess, the way, because as a writer you have your natural voice anyway, but you get a sense of what the person or who the brand and company and all of that is, and you're able to infuse it with that. But I do still have like a little bit of cheek, a little bit of wit and all those sort of things. I wouldn't write content for a medical journal. Like I just couldn't.
Or a car yarn or something, you know, unless it had something that had something like your style.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same as any sort of skills. Videographers, graphic designers, web designers, you have your own personal element to it. And it is about finding the right partners for you. Because you're right. I remember in previous job getting a content writer in and briefing them on what we thought. And this is probably where they didn't have the right information about it. It was very selling your business, helping your business out, and we asked for content, and it came back and it was off the mark.
Yeah,
it was, and I don't think we then met her. We hadn't met her, and we wouldn't have put to sync as well. And we didn't connect, and I think that for me, if you don't have that connection and you don't, and the good brief, then it is so off the mark. You need to find the right partners for you, and that they, as you said before, understand what you want as well.
Yeah,
it's so true. It's an art. It's just like graphic design. It's all an art and it's a specialty.
It's a creative process. Yeah. And I think that's why working collaboratively with other creatives, you get and respect the process. So I think it's what makes it work so well together, and why I think we came together at this mutual ground and were able to produce this work together. Yeah. Because we both got it, and we were both separate artists in our own right, but came together and were able to create this product. Yeah. Definitely. Collaboratively.
Yeah. And it's so true. And I think you're right. You've got to be able to work collaboratively and then also have that perfect understanding of what they are and where they came from.
Yeah.
I look at my website, check it out, because all the writing is she was amazing. And I'm now such a different attitude. I was so proud to then share it. Yeah. But you really kept my tone and my little bits and pieces. Or maybe, and I think I used the word something, and you're like, Claire, that's not on brand. You did. You said that doesn't fit with you. Yeah. And it was so nice, because I remember writing it thinking, I can't find a better word. But that's what I want to say. And I'm like, it doesn't really feel right to write it. And so when you picked up on that, I'm like, you're so right.
And I probably sense that, like, as much as like probably getting on my hippie high horse here, but words have emotion and power to them. Like, there's so much to words, and energetically they can carry a little bit of something. So even if that's what I picked up on, that you might have been a bit of hesitancy there. It's not how I'd normally write. And a reader can get that. They really can. And a potential consumer might choose to go elsewhere because of that tiny little thing that maybe was a bit inauthentic. Like, you might drop it on camera and that's fine. Yeah. Like, we all say dirtier things than that, so that's fine. But you might say that, like, convey that on camera or to your friends really,
and you can
naturally.
see it, so it's all in emotion.
But to write it, and that's what I found really quite difficult. Like, in my own blog, I will drop profanities and things like that, because that's how I write, and that's how I'm very emphatic with my writing, and that's kind of how I stress it. But it comes across in a way, I guess, that's not confronting to people that know my voice, because it's literally how I'd behave in conversation. Yeah. But my brand is very cheeky and very whimsical and all of that stuff. So for you, I think that's the reason it picked up and didn't go well there. And I think perhaps, now that viewers can see you a little bit more authentically, it probably would fuse in a little bit better.
But that's my first point, and you remember that, and it's a negative word. Yeah. So you pick up on that negative and you sort of focus on that. And you don't really want it to be positive.
Yeah, the whole experience from the
first date. Yeah. You want to like put your best foot forward and get the best impression. Because if you lose that, you're not going on a second date. Yeah. And I'm not going to see you guys again. Yeah. So thank you for saying that.
You want to lock in that second date.
Second date in. So true. So, and that was really a big thing for me. Yeah. So I really liked that you saw that and you knew me and you knew what I was offering, and not on brand.
Yeah, cool.
So that was really cool.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah. So I guess you don't always you don't have these chance meetings with people at perfect timing like we did. You do need to go find people, and you don't always get to meet them, get to know them and meet them by person. In this world, we're all online. We have people doing our work from all over the world, and that's fantastic. It's so good. But the only hindrance to that is finding out who you are without meeting you.
Yeah.
So what do you do when that happens?
So I have had a couple of clients that have been like that, and there's in fact one that I've worked so closely with, a beautiful makeup company in Perth that do all kind and vegan cosmetics, and I've never met the lady that I liaise with so
really?
close. No, and she was so happy with what I was producing in terms of capturing her. And I think it's because I really took the time. I did a little bit of my own research and got to know the brand and, read her bio and chatted. I can't even remember if I've heard of it. I don't even know if we've phone chat. I feel like it's been mostly email and message.
Isn't that crazy?
But it's insane. And I think that also because we're in such a social media age, I've got her Instagram, all of those things. Like you get the essence of them. But I think since working through my brand story, brand pack for myself and my own businesses, I think that that's something that I've really valued, and I've sort of taken elements of that and put that to people that I've worked with and gone, what is your brand? Like how if people bring to me, I guess, I don't know, the essence and all those components that you identify in the brand pack, you just get this really succinct flavour and essence of who they are, and you can do it justice.
And you're on the same page.
Yes, exactly.
And it's not, you're not pulling teeth and they're not pulling out their hair going, I don't know. Yeah. It's really in line. Especially, things that I talked about in the other week, target market. So not only knowing your personal brand, but who you're targeting for you. That's so important because you've got to know, well, what's this language? Who am I resonating with? And how are they going to take it?
Exactly.
So that's super important.
And I think that sort of ties into as well what we were saying before, like, I wouldn't write for a medical journal or this or that. Yeah. But I think that if you have this mutual ground, it's going to be that mutual voice as well. And you have to, as a creative person, align with other creators or other businesses or whatever that do resonate those same values. Otherwise, it's not going to come across as authentic at all.
Definitely.
So I think that I've been really lucky in that respect, and all the collaborations that I've done. I say lucky, but it's designed.
I was exactly going to say that. I think luck is definitely a small part of it, but it's also what you put out there.
Yeah.
Like you're searching these sort of people and you meet people on the same mind. You're putting yourself, you meet people on that same level. Yeah. And that level is whatever level for anyone. It's not high and low. It's just that level. Yeah. Doesn't matter. And that's what I think it is. I was with a previous client working on a brand pack with her, and she wasn't getting the clients that she wanted. She was, I'm just getting all these clients. Like, well, you need to say what you're looking for and what you are and who you're driving for. And then when you know that, then you'll get them. Yeah. And she said it's changed completely. She's now focusing on that, and she's now specialised in that. And it just comes with knowing that. Yeah. And I think it's that real strength of, I think what the brand pack offers, as well as what I've found, is you walk away with it with a really strong sense of, this is who I am, as a brand, but especially as a person. Like for someone like myself, and I'm sure there's so many of you out there that are multi-passionate entrepreneurs. Like I am doing so much, but that's what fills me up, and that's what makes me so happy. But I think that the moment that I stopped fighting it and going, I should be doing this, or no, I should quit that and should be pursuing this only, and sort of went, this is who I am. It all ties together with this basic theme of being of service and helping people express themselves, and I'm okay with that. Every arm of my businesses started to thrive. And so I think that because I come to people or come across to people with such a strong sense of professional self and brand self, I'm attracting those people at that same knowledge of their brand. Yeah. So like you're saying, you're meeting at that same level. Yeah. So I think that's why it gets to... It doesn't just happen. It is, as you said, and it's such a relief when you go, okay, you've got this. It's sort of like finding your way through a bush and just finding a straight road, and you're okay. And then you can then from there go, is this with me? Is it not with me? And your decisions are quicker and turnaround's quicker. And it comes down to time's money. We want to make sure it's working for us, but it's also working in our favour as a business, but also financially. Like, is it something that are we wasting our time, spending a lot of time on things that aren't actually relevant to where we're going as a business as well?
Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's really nice to hear someone that's done it tell me that back, because I understand it, and I think that's the biggest thing. It's only when you do it and you know once you've done it, and it's really hard to explain to people how good it is. You don't know what you've got until you have it, like anything, and how decisions are easier. And I think a lot of small businesses, as I've said, you get your bricks and mortar, you get your website, you get all this, but this is sort of stuff that isn't tangible, so you just don't tick that box until you look back on it and go, well, I'm all over the place. Yeah. And I think it takes a real entrepreneur or smart business person to go, take a step back and go, where am I going and who am I? Yeah. And it's only when you do that, then you realise, how clear you can be going. Yeah. Well, it's even funny, like even
the terminology that you use then, a smart businesswoman. I don't identify with that at all. Like, I truly don't. But it's funny because on paper, I get it. Like, I'm so business orientated because that's how I work, and I'm literally self-employed in every avenue. But I think it's just more so over the years through my personal experiences as Emily, I've learned so much about myself, and all I've kind of done is shed those. I mean, this isn't getting all spiritual, but it kind of is. But I guess more shedding those shackles of what it's supposed to look like, accepting what it is, accepting those strengths and magnifying them and delegating those weaknesses. And it's come together really nicely. I'm at a point now where it's just come together so beautifully. And I think that there's a real strength in that, but I think it's come from knowing myself both as a brand and as a person.
And then finding that line and going on that direction. And that comes exactly life experience, and then also business experience, and then finding tools that help you be a better business.
Exactly right.
Definitely. Like, I found you.
Oh, and I found my brand story. So we're very, very lucky.
Very lucky.
But it happens very, very synchronistic. I'm going to botch that word on film, but I don't really care. But all these synchronicities happen. And you've kind of got to follow those both like personal hunches and business hunches, and they do pay off.
It's one of those things as well. Don't push uphill. Like if it's not working, change the direction, make sure it works. And usually when you're on the right path, whatever it is,
there's ease. You made it with ease.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, and I didn't actually mention this before, that you've got a blog, Less is Mess.
Yes.
I'll put the link down in the information. But read it. It's a fantastic read. And now you've met Anne, you'll really see it as well. But you don't even need to meet her to get her essence and your language and your tone. You really take us on that journey. And that is what brought me in as well. Not only meeting you, but reading you. I'm like, I love you paint pictures with your words, and something that I do not have. And it took me a while, but I acknowledge it. I mean, I know it, but I acknowledge it now. Like, I'm so glad I went to her, and I think it's important. And it saves you not only time, but angst. If you can just get people around you that are good and understand what you're at and can deliver on your level and understand your business, do it. It is so good.
I'm not a visual person. Like, I'm wordsy. And this is one of my weaknesses is I can't make the visual stuff work. I just can't. So now I have these amazing connections with people like her, like you, that pull that in and provide me with that support even when I need it. Which
so
is
true. You're not, what is it? Jack of all trades, master of none. Nobody is. And it's just knowing your strengths and playing to them, and then putting your hands up to your weaknesses and getting help.
Exactly right.
And on your point as well, like, I love helping people as well. There's something about, I always thought I didn't like marketing, but it wasn't I didn't like marketing. I didn't like marketing for a big corporate. But I love helping small businesses be the best they can. And it does sound funny, but it's the truth. Like, I'm at a place now where I really enjoy the work, but I get fulfillment out of the work that I do. And I don't think I've ever had that. So it's a nice feeling.
It is. It's really, really good.
Well, thanks for coming. It was
So
really nice to have you in. My first chat. Tea and chat.
Gosh.
It's a tea party.
Yeah, it is. And it's beautiful.
Chai tea party. But thank you again. And I think I want to get her back in soon, because this girl can time manage like no one else. Me, I'm terrible at it. So we're going to come back to that
chat time next time.
Well, thanks, hon.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, then that's the end of my brand story. Find out more in the information. Go to my website. Any questions as well? I'll put Anne's blog and her links, so I'll read up about her because she is awesome. So for now, bye-bye, and we'll see you next time.
I was like, you were just telling them our secrets.
Ooh. Okay. All right. The hair look right?
We got there.
Okay. Oh my God, the hand's stuck in.
Just to the interview like that.